Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be explaining how you can very simply use AI to make better ads. Now, over the last 18 months, I've helped personally over 50 marketing teams learn how they can leverage the power of AI within their creative production systems to be able to produce more ads, but also to produce better ads as well. Now, these companies that we've been training have been spending anywhere from $25,000 all the way up to $7 million per month on their paid campaigns. And what I have learned over the course of working with these businesses, these corporations, these organizations, is that for the most part, these businesses don't understand AI whatsoever. Now, just as a prerequisite, by no means whatsoever am I going to say this because I'm going to set this up for some cliche new model or new way of doing things that I'm going to introduce. Absolutely not is that the direction that I'm going to head in. But really the reason why I say this is because 95% of the time, most businesses are just lazy. And it's not just me that says this. According to Forbes, 95% of businesses that pilot AI end up failing. So today, and in this video, I want to share with you 5 core lessons that I have personally learned after going through this training with businesses, as I said, spending up to $7 million per month on their ads, and run through how you can be in the top 5% in terms of implementing AI into your business and into your creative process. So first and foremost, lesson number 1, AI is an amplifier. It is not a replacement. It takes good and it makes it better. And conversely, it takes bad and it makes it worse. So what I mean by that specifically is if you think about AI, it is not there to replace human teams for the most part. This is what I believe anyway. What AI is there to do, it's there to increase efficiency, it's there to increase speed, and it's there to take your existing human-led strategy and make that better. It's there to produce whatever you are already producing manually faster, quicker, and cheaper. But of course, if your existing strategy that you're doing internally is bad and ineffective, if you're already producing bad ads, it's just going to produce more bad ads quicker, and it's going to replicate that bad strategy in a faster, cheaper way. But of course, none of this is actually relevant unless you fix the strategy and the actual ads you're producing manually in the first place. Now, alongside that, there are 2 other functions that AI specifically serves. And really, in terms of internalizing this, it's actually quite simple. First things first, it removes tedious tasks so that you or whoever it may be within your organization can therefore focus on higher level, more strategic work. It can take over the execution for things that you don't really want to be doing. So therefore, as a human being yourself, you can apply your thought and your creative process into things that actually move the needle. Function number 2 is that it multiplies output so that you can specifically amplify any human-led strategy with the speed of AI. Really, in short, this is what it looks like. A bad human-led strategy with AI just will give you bad ads, but produced faster. On the flip side, expert-level strategy plus AI will provide you with exponential output. So ultimately, in terms of really internalizing what this means, you have to actually nail your ads and your strategy with human level thinking before you use AI. AI will not fix bad strategy. It will not fix bad ads. You have to fix those yourself first manually before you can look to use AI to multiply whatever it is you already have produced. So then lesson number 2 is that relevant context is more important than just more context. Now, obviously, context is the hallmark of how to use AI effectively, but more context does not equal better context. Now, I'm sure you've seen this word context floated around so many times within the realm of AI in terms of how to use AI effectively, use more context, provide it with your brand guidelines, provide it with every single piece of information you are able to find on your business. And now, while to a certain extent this is true, obviously context is extremely important to be able to facilitate the effectiveness of the prompt of the model you are using. Like I said, more context does not equal better context. You do not need to provide AI with more and more information. You need to provide it with the relevant information. So in terms of, again, how to think about this, fundamentally the way AI works as a technology, very much simplified, is not similar to a search engine. It's not like Google. It works basically as a simplified pattern recognition engine. Basically, when you give it a prompt, when you give an input, it's going to be going and looking at these different patterns. It's going to be taking a look at repetitive patterns that it's seen previously, and then it's going to be reading those and determining which ones to read from in order to be able to provide you with an output. Now, if you give it loads and loads of context, you are essentially overwhelming it. You are giving it too many pieces of data to ingest. The patterns in which it is searching for information from becomes wider and wider and wider, and therefore it is almost impossible for the AI to know exactly what you want and therefore provide you with an output that's actually in line with what your expectations are. So by switching from just more information to relevant, important information with relation to what your task actually is, the narrower that pattern recognition window will be, and therefore the higher the likelihood of the AI providing you with an output that is actually in line with what you are looking for. So there are 3 really effective ways where you can provide AI context. First things first, providing it with examples of winning ads. But as an important caveat, when you do provide AI with examples of winning ads, whether it's a downloaded video, which you can upload into somewhere like Gemini, whether it's the transcript of a video, whether it is literally just a static ad, you must explain why it was a winning ad. If you just upload that ad into the ChatGPT or Claude or LLM or Manus, whichever LLM it may be, ultimately it's not going to know why that works so well, which means it's not going to be able to replicate the underlying triggers that cause the ad to be effective. So therefore you have to explain why. Now also as well, you can do the opposite. You can provide AI with ads that didn't work, and you can provide your information and your sort of opinion as to why you feel that didn't work, so it has even more context to go off. Obviously, this is in the instance of you are creating ads with AI. The second best use case is verbatim customer language. This can be in the form of specific reviews, it can be in the form of testimonials, it can be things people are talking about on Twitter, on Reddit, where people are actually talking about your product, your service. It can be calls you've had with clients, it could be calls you've had with potential customers, actual transcripts from those calls. Whatever it may be, ultimately it doesn't matter. But the most important thing here is that it actually must be verbatim. There's a very famous quote actually from Alex Hormozy where he describes about how you can articulate your understanding of the customer. And he says something along the lines of, the better you're able to articulate your understanding of their pain point, the higher the likelihood of them believing you have the solution. So the more you show you understand them, the more they will feel like they can believe you. And essentially, the best way to do this is through verbatim customer language. So not paraphrasing what previous customers have said, or reviews have said, or people on Reddit have said, but actually verbatim, word for word, using the exact same terminology that these people have used. Obviously, dependent on the type of audience that you are targeting, depending on your ideal customer, within these pockets, within these audiences, there are going to be specific verbiage. There's going to be certain words, certain terms, certain nuances, certain types of language and behaviors that these people use. And if you can show that you are able to use that too, obviously taking that verbatim from your customer language, you really are showing to them that you understand them. You are one of them as well. And of course you are basically getting them on your side in that sense, because you are showing that you understand them. So the more verbatim that language that you use is, literally within the headlines, within the copy itself, the higher the likelihood of your audience believing that you have the solution to their problem. And then third and finally, brand voice framework. So this is where you have to be really, really careful, because I've seen so many instances of businesses providing 40, 50, 60-page documents to AI, going over their entire business, brand guidelines, strategy documents, basically everything you can think of. Now, while brand voice is extremely important, you must limit this to a maximum of 1 page. So a simple 1-pager giving context on your product, your target persona, your voice, your aesthetic, your visual style, and whatever it may be. But it's super important, as I said, to make sure you're not overwhelming the AI with information. So for example, your brand hex codes, i.e. the colors that you use, are not remotely relevant for copywriting, for making copy for your Facebook ad campaigns. Your brand's mission statement doesn't help AI write better hooks. The only thing that matters is simply what is relevant to that specific use case, to that very input you are trying to achieve at that time. So lesson number 3 is that your biggest advantage is speed. And really this ties into that first lesson at the beginning in terms of the benefit of AI, in terms of how it really is an amplifier. Now more than ever, paid media requires creative diversity. If you haven't seen, a couple of months back, Meta released an update to their algorithm called Andromeda. In short, without going into the details of this update to their algorithm now requires more creative diversity. If you think about it from this perspective, there are millions and millions of people competing for the same eyeballs, millions of advertisers competing for those same eyeballs across Facebook. And in short, what this update now means is that Facebook/Meta is rewarding those that are able to provide more creative diversity to the platform with preferential treatment, and of course at the same time it will be penalizing those that don't provide that same creative diversity. So while previously, before this algorithm update, you would be able to launch an ad set with 5 videos, for example, where you have one body, 5 unique hooks which you tag onto that body, and then have 5 ads. This strategy is something that no longer works just because it is too repetitive and there is not enough diversity in it. Which means volume is how you learn faster than everyone else in your market. The quicker you can launch something, the quicker you are going to scale. The faster your production is, the faster you're able to launch. The faster you launch, therefore the faster you test, which means you are collecting more data, which means from that you discover and you find more winners, which means you profit more and of course have more budget for testing, and this just repeats over and over again, which is why in this instance AI is your biggest advantage, because manual production simply doesn't scale, at least not at the level Meta is now requiring with their algorithm update. The data advantage simply compounds at a rate according to how quickly you're providing it with the input, i.e. the creative. So the quicker you can provide your ad account with creatives, the quicker you're going to be able to collect the data and then get an advantage from the data. Or in other words, the quicker you're able to go from AI-generated output to having that AI-generated output launched within your campaign, the quicker you're going to be able to scale. So then penultimately, lesson number 4 is build quality control systems. And I can't stress this one enough. It is quite possibly the most unsexy, most least exciting advice you will hear with regards to AI, but it is also the highest leverage if you actually want to scale. Now, most businesses are happy, comfortable, and fine being able to use AI to produce 20, 30, 40, 50 creatives, or even just doubling their output. But for those that are really trying to scale, turn their ad spend into 7 figures, you need to be producing hundreds and hundreds of creatives, up to the thousands every single month, completely unique creatives that you are testing in line with Meta's Andromeda algorithm. But the only way you can get there is through building these systems. Now, these specific quality control systems, what they allow you to do is they allow you to maintain your brand aesthetic at scale, which means you don't have to waste time manually reviewing and editing every single ad before you're able to launch it. Now, it goes without saying, for pretty much every brand, there is some sort of brand aesthetic that you have tied to your business, whether it's your brand voice, your tone that you apply to your copywriting and your messaging, or whether it's just the visual feel to your brand. Now, if you are using AI to generate your ads, it goes without saying that it is still going to require someone from your team individually and manually going through every single AI output and double checking and reviewing them to ensure that they follow those specific brand guidelines. And of course, in the instance where they don't, making edits to ensure they do. Now, this manual process really slows down production because it slows down that most important metric, like I mentioned, which is how quick you can go from AI generated output to having the campaign live. And the quicker you can go through that process and the more you can reduce that time period, the faster you are going to scale, which is why implementing this process, which does speed up that stage, is so effective and such a high leverage activity. This singular bottleneck is what typically forces and prevents companies from being able to produce more creative, because it just takes so much time to manually review every single ad and make sure every single one of those is on brand. And yeah, scalability ultimately comes through systems, and this is the highest leverage system that you can invest your time in building when you are going up to the 500, 600, 700, 800, 1,000 ads every single month with AI. So then finally, lesson number 5, AI is a conversationalist. So what do I mean when I say AI is a conversationalist? Well, think about it natively. ChatGPT. The name is a combination of chat for its conversational nature and GPT. So if we think about what that really means, your expectations when you open up ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever it may be, really should be the same across the board. You are going in to have a conversation with a collaborator. This is not a vending machine where you give it one specific thing and it gives you the perfect output every single time. Now, so many businesses have this expectation where they can do just that. They don't need to invest the time in that conversational aspect and therefore get frustrated when their first prompt doesn't give them the perfect output, end up not going back and forth, giving up and determining that AI is a waste of time. Now, the first output should never be your final output. It is just simply the starting point for refinement, for iteration, and back and forth with AI. The iteration with the AI is what will allow you to achieve great outputs and even faster than the time it would take to manually edit the first output. If you took that first one-shot prompt, took the output straight away, and went ahead and manually edited this yourself, you would still be better off investing the time to go back and forth and iterate with AI in this stage rather than doing everything manually. So these are my 5 lessons as to how to get better outputs and leverage AI more effectively. And just to recap these quickly, first things first, use AI to multiply your output, not to replace your existing production. Focus on improving your internal strategy, your actual creative thought process, rather than expecting AI to do that for you. Secondly, be intentional about ensuring that you are providing AI with the most relevant type of context. Thirdly, volume and speed is your biggest competitive advantage, and ultimately, this is the highest leverage way that you can benefit from AI. Fourth, building a quality control system is really what allows you to scale. And finally, as I said, AI is a conversation which requires iteration, refinement, back and forth through specific feedback. Now, if you would like help implementing everything that I've just outlined and learn how you can, as a business, build a repeatable system that produces over 1,000 professional, unique ad creatives, static video, and UGC every single month without any ongoing costs, without needing to hire an agency, without needing to hire any internal staff, any employees. Now, this is exactly what we train in our 90-day AI creative training program at my company, StudioFlow. So we work directly with businesses spending over $25,000 per month, one-to-one on live calls, where we will train you on everything mentioned as I've just outlined, all of these systems, and we even make your first 100 ads for you. So if you are interested, here's a quick overview of what's included. So 12 weeks of live one-to-one coaching calls where we teach you every aspect needed to produce those high quality ads, over 1,000 every single month. We also provide you with a full guide so that you can build your own scalable system that consistently generates on-brand creative. These live calls, as I said, we even produce ads for your campaigns on the calls that you can immediately launch. We provide you with everything that you need to roll out these systems across your internal business, across your organization, so that your team can operate fully self-sufficiently and independently. We have a Slack channel with our entire team to provide you with immediate support, obviously troubleshooting, any guidance between the scheduled calls, any requests, any answers, any helps that you need with your prompts. Of course, as new AI tools emerge during the process, we integrate these into your training and we show you how you can implement them. And finally, super valuably, we provide you with access to our internal winning ad library. We have tested prompt frameworks. In fact, we have over 300 proven prompts that we provide you with throughout the program. So as a recap, this is specifically for businesses that are spending over $25,000 per month on your paid ads and would like to automate systems with AI and learn how to use AI in your existing creative systems to produce more and better quality ad creatives. So if that is you, there is a link in the description where you can go to another page and watch a video presentation that we have that covers everything in the training. And then after that, you can go and book a call with our team to learn more about how we can help. But with that being said, that wraps up this video for today. I hope you found this valuable and I'll see you in the next one.